Well, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk through a few basic steps right at the beginning of learning to play the guitar. We're going to understand a couple of chords, so you can play something by the end of the lesson, understand how to hold the plectrum. We're going to talk about very basic music reading, just how to read the rhythm of one type of note. That's all. And we're going to talk about coordinating our hands, because obviously we have to have good hand coordination to play any musical instrument.
It sounds vital. So these are our lesson objectives for lesson one.
These are the lesson objectives indeed.
Where would you like to begin?
I'd like to start with a chord, if I may.
You may.
Okay, when we play rock music, we typically play in quite a dramatic, overdriven type sound on the amplifier. I'll just demonstrate that type of sound. When you hear that type of chord, it's generally a chord called a power chord, as we call it. In a musical, the correct musical terminology is a 5 chord.
A power chord or a 5 chord.
So if you saw it written on a piece of music, it would be called A5 or B5 or C-sharp 5 or whatever. Now, when we learn to play music, there's what we call 7 natural notes: A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. No H's, no P's, no T's. A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Okay. Now, there's some additions to those, but those are the only natural notes and the only letters that we use. So the 2 chords I'm going to talk about today are A5 and G5.
So this is the A power chord or the G power chord?
Exactly. And we're going to start with the A power chord. Now, how we name our chords is by counting up the fretboard to fret number 5, which I should point out has got nothing to do with the chord being called A5 or G5. That's a completely separate issue.
It's a happy coincidence.
Happy coincidence. Just so happens that A5 is at fret number 5 on the guitar. Now, how we count these out are by starting at fret number 1, which is down by the machine head. That's the 1st fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 4th, 5th, etc., etc. Most guitars will have dots above frets 3, 5, 7 and 9.
Let's turn it over. Can we have a look?
Fret 3, fret 5, fret 7 and fret 9.
Okay.
And 2 dots at fret 12. The reason for the 2 dots at fret 12 are because you are 1 octave up from the open string, so it's the same note again, a whole scale higher. So here's my E string, and if I play at fret 12, I'm back at the beginning. Okay, that's why there's 2 dots at fret 12. Most guitars will have dots 3, 5, 7 and 9. Okay, so we're going to start on the 2nd dot in effect, which is at fret number 5. Now, to play our power chords, or our 5 chords, or the chord of A5 I should say, we put the 1st finger of our left hand. I should also point out to you that on your left hand, as a right-handed guitar player, your fingers are numbered. Your little finger is finger number 4.
Yes.
3, 2, 1, and your thumb's your thumb. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's it. You can use your thumb, believe it or not, but that's just called your thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, I'm understanding so far.
With it so far?
Yes.
Good. Take my 1st finger, put it on fret 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on string number 6. Which
now,
is the outside
run me
string.
through the string numbering again.
Okay, the string numbering is 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The notation for that is E, A, D, G, B and E, but I'm going to talk in string numbers and fret numbers. Okay, so there's not really any confusion. So 1st finger, fret 5, string 6. Okay. Now, to play the chord of A5, we need 2 fingers on 2 separate notes. The other finger is my 3rd finger, and it goes on fret 7 on the 5th string, creating that shape.
So 1 string below, 2 frets on.
That's it. That's the pattern. And if I take this chord and move it around the fingerboard, I get lots of different chords, but for the time being, we're just going to play this one chord, which is A5.
How are you playing that with your right hand?
Okay, coming on to the right hand, I'm holding my plectrum. There's various ways you can hold the plectrum, and you see some fantastic guitar players who hold the plectrum in an unusual way, shall we say. But the typical way to hold the plectrum is to place it between your thumb and your 1st finger on your right hand. I've got a triangular shaped plectrum here. They come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Some of them are quite stiff like this one. Some of them are very flimsy. And actually it's quite a useful thing for a beginner to get a flimsy plectrum.
Why is that?
Well, it means that when you're trying to learn to strum and you're a bit tense and whatever, the plectrum will have a little bit of give in it. Some of them are quite papery and quite light, whereas this one's got no bend in it whatsoever. You know, which some people might find more difficult.
All right,
May
so
not, but they may do.
Through the whole course, will we always be using a plectrum?
Yes.
Right.
I will be using a plectrum the whole way through.
Can we do it without a plectrum?
It's possible to play without a plectrum, but realistically for electric guitar playing, and there are some great guitar players who play in a style using their fingers, but ordinarily you would really want to use a plectrum.
Okay.
So how we hold the plectrum then is between our thumb and our first finger. So basically I've got that between the pads of my thumb and first finger, so I just take my thumb, put it down on the pad, and basically the plectrum is inserted in between.
All right, whereabouts is the point or the tip of the plectrum?
I've got the point of the plectrum in this instance pointing out towards the guitar string. That's the most common way of doing it.
Can you show me how it would look on the guitar when you're sort of playing it?
If I put my thumb perpendicular to the guitar, the plectrum then comes out...
Perpendicular, that's a good word.
Yeah, I know. The plectrum then comes out sideways to the guitar string, and you can have a nice even hit. I'll just turn up so we can see or hear this. So the plectrum is very close to the guitar strings in the first place, so there's not really much chance of me missing. But that's something we really do have to think about with our right hand in any case. This chord has only got 2 notes, 2 fingers on our left hand, so we mustn't hit any additional guitar strings. Not very nice.
Sounds nasty.
We only want those 2 strings. So the plectrum just goes just above the 6th string, which is the first one that we'll strike, and I'm hitting through both strings nice and even. Very important to get an even weight. You can even think of them as one big fat guitar string if you like. You don't want to kind of
fall off of one onto the other, yeah.
Separation. It's one nice even strike.
So that's the 6th and the 5th string there.
6th string and the 5th string. That's our chord of A5. So what we've got there is our chord, which is at the 5th fret. First finger, again, just to recap, on the 6th string on the 5th fret. 3rd finger on the 7th fret on the 5th string. Plectrum in our right hand, which strikes both strings nice and evenly. Okay, moving on to the second chord that I'd like to teach. It's exactly the same shape, so there's nothing hugely new involved there other than we're doing the same shape at a different fret. Now this particular chord is G5, this note was A, this note down here is G. Our first finger goes on the 3rd fret on the 6th string, same shape of course as A5, and our 3rd finger goes on the 5th fret on the 5th string. So as you can see, that's the same shape as A5, but it's 2 frets lower down. This way is lower.
Yes.
This way is higher. A5, and then I've got G5 down here.
Obviously, you're using your first finger. Does it matter? Do you always have to use your 3rd finger for that second note?
Some guitarists will use their 4th finger. You see that quite commonly. I think it's better to use your 3rd finger. A couple of reasons for this. One is you might need your little finger or your 4th finger for some other additional notes at some stage in your playing. And also, if you think about it, 1 finger per fret is fairly logical. So if my first finger's on fret 3, my second finger hovers over fret 4, my 3rd finger is in position for fret 5. So I think that makes more logic really, it's more logical to use fingers 1 and 3 rather than 1 and 4, I would say. So just to recap on those 2 chords again, we've got A5, which is at fret number 5, and G5, which is at fret number 3.
And it being given the name A and G because of the note that you're playing with your first finger.
Exactly. On the 6th string, and we'll touch on this in much greater detail further down the course, you'll learn what all the notes are up and down the bottom 2 guitar strings, the bottom 2 strings being string 6 and string 5. But you're quite right, the chords are named from the note which is underneath your first finger. So if I put my first finger on fret 5, that note is an A. Don't have to worry about the name of the other note under your 3rd finger, don't need to worry about it at all. It's an A5. G is on the 3rd fret, on the 6th string. Put the 3rd finger in place, G5. And be very careful with the coordination in the right hand to make sure that those 2 strings are struck nice and evenly.